7-0 circle above the Coral Sea. A lone P-38 Lightning trails thick black smoke from both engines, losing altitude in a slow spiral. The pilot's squadron mates watch from 6 miles out, certain Calvin Birch is going down. Radio chatter crackles with resignation. Someone says a prayer, another curses the odds. The Japanese fighters tighten their formation, closing like sharks on blood. They have seen this before. Engine fire means death. They move in for the kill. Then the smoke stops. Both Allison engines scream back to full power. The P-38 snaps level, rolls inverted, and opens fire. Tracers converge on the lead Zero. It disintegrates in a flash of orange and steel. The trap has sprung. This is the South Pacific in mid-1943. The sky above the Coral Sea is not a place of mercy. It smells of aviation fuel and salt spray. The heat inside a P-38 cockpit at 12,000 feet turns the aluminum shell into a furnace. Sweat soaks through flight suits. Leather gloves stick to control yokes. Visibility is sharp and endless, which means death can come from any direction without warning. Japanese Zeros dominate these skies through speed, maneuverability, and a willingness to press attacks that would make other pilots hesitate. They are flown by men trained since childhood, veterans of China and the Philippines, pilots who understand energy states and deflection angles as instinctively as breathing. American pilots arrive in waves, most with fewer than 200 hours in type. Their aircraft are heavier, less agile, built for different wars. The P-38 is fast in a straight line, deadly in a dive, but it cannot turn with a zero. The math is brutal and simple. In the first 8 months of Pacific operations, fighter losses exceed replacements by 17%. Squadrons cycle through pilots like ammunition through a belt. The doctrine is clear. Never dogfight. Use speed and altitude. Hit and run. Disengage before the enemy can maneuver. The rules are written in blood and refined through 2 years of hard combat. They work when pilots follow them, but doctrine assumes you can choose the engagement. Over the South Pacific in 1943, American fighters rarely have that luxury. They fly escort missions for bombers and transports. They cannot run. They cannot refuse combat. When Zeros bounce them from above, they absorb the first attack and try to survive long enough to scatter the enemy formation. Most do not. The Japanese understand this. They have learned to be patient. They orbit at altitude, watching, waiting for a mistake or a malfunction. They do not commit unless the odds are favorable. A damaged aircraft, a separated wingman, a pilot low on fuel. Only then do they strike. It makes them cautious. It makes them predictable. And predictability is a weakness. Calvin Birch has been thinking about this problem for 8 months. He does not look like a man who rewrites tactics. He is quiet, methodical, 31 years, old with wire-rimmed glasses and a face that belongs behind a plow. But he is studying something no one else has noticed. The Zeros are hunters, yes, but hunters can be baited. The problem facing American fighter squadrons in the South Pacific is not courage. It is mathematics. Japanese Zeros outnumber Allied fighters in most engagements. They climb faster, turn tighter, and operate from bases closer to the combat zones. American pilots fly long missions over water with no margin for error. If your engine fails, you ditch. If you ditch, the ocean swallows you. Search and rescue operations are limited. Most downed pilots are never found. The 5th Air Force operates under these conditions daily. They escort bombers to targets deep in Japanese-held territory. They fly reconnaissance missions over enemy shipping lanes. They patrol vast stretches of empty ocean, alone, waiting for threats that can appear in seconds. Fuel is always a concern. Navigation is guesswork. Radio communication is intermittent. Every mission is a gamble with odds that do not favor survival. The tactical situation is simple and unforgiving. Zeros are faster in climbs and turns. American fighters have advantages in straight-line speed and diving power. Doctrine says to exploit those advantages. Dive, attack, climb away. Never turn, never slow down, never give the Zero a chance to maneuver. It works in theory. In practice, it requires perfect execution and perfect conditions. Most engagements happen at the wrong altitude, the wrong speed, the wrong angle. Pilots find themselves reacting instead of dictating. They break formation to evade attacks. They burn fuel maneuvering. They lose situational awareness in the chaos. And the Zeros capitalize on every mistake. Between missions, pilots sit in the shade of palm trees and talk in quiet voices. They compare notes. They sketch diagrams in the sand with sticks. They argue about energy management and deflection shooting. Some believe the solution is better aircraft. Others want more training time. A few think the air war in the Pacific is simply unwinnable with the resources they have. Ground crews work through the night, patching bullet holes, replacing shattered canopies, scrubbing blood from cockpits. They do not speak of what they clean. Mechanics develop superstitions. Some refuse to work on a plane that has lost 2 pilots. Others inscribe small symbols on engine cowlings, prayers in grease pencil. Everyone knows the statistics. Everyone pretends they do not. In operations tents, intelligence officers tally losses and compile reports. Graphs show kill ratios trending in the wrong direction. Recommendations are sent up the chain of command: more fuel, more aircraft, longer training cycles. The replies are sympathetic but non-committal. Resources are finite. The war is global. The Pacific is a secondary theater. Squadrons make do with what they have. They improvise. They adapt. They die at rates that make reinforcement a logistical nightmare. And then a crop duster from Nebraska with a habit of sketching engine modifications starts asking questions no one else thinks to ask. Questions like, what if we stop trying to outrun them? What if we make them come to us? He does not look like a fighter pilot. Too old, too quiet, too careful. He walks with a slight limp from a landing accident in Nebraska 5 years ago. His flight suit is always clean but never pressed. He carries a notebook everywhere, filled with sketches and calculations that no one else understands. His squadron mates call him Grease Monkey because he spends more time in the maintenance hangar than the officers' mess. Some call him Professor because of the wire-rimmed glasses. A few call him Old Man, though he is only 31. He does not drink, he does not play cards, he does not tell stories about women or home. After missions, he disappears to his tent and writes, not letters, notes, diagrams of dogfights from memory, vectors and angles, speed calculations. He is trying to understand something that most pilots feel rather than think. His name is Calvin Birch. Born in 1912 in a small town outside Lincoln, his father owned a grain elevator. His mother taught piano. Burch learned to fly in his teens, trading labor for lessons at a dusty airstrip. He flew a Curtiss JN-4, a rickety biplane held together with baling wire and optimism. The instructor was a barnstormer who had flown in the First War. He taught Burch to respect the machine, to understand weight and balance, to feel the edge of a stall before it happened. Burch soloed after 11 hours. He bought his own plane 2 years later, a worn-out Stearman he rebuilt from salvage. He started a crop dusting business, flying low over wheat fields, spraying pesticides in tight patterns. It was dangerous work. Wires, trees, sudden wind gusts. Burch learned to fly by instinct, to sense turbulence before it hit, to navigate by landmarks and dead reckoning. He also learned engines. He could not afford a mechanic, so he became one. He rebuilt carburetors, retimed magnetos, fabricated parts from scrap metal. He read everything he could find about aerodynamics and propulsion. He was not a natural pilot. He was a methodical one. When the war started, Burch tried to enlist. The Army Air Forces rejected him. Too old, poor eyesight, no combat experience. He tried again 6 months later. Same result. Frustrated, he heard about a civilian pilot training program. The military needed instructors to teach cadets basic flight skills. Burch qualified. He spent a year teaching young men how to land without killing themselves. Then, the demand for pilots grew desperate. Standards loosened. Burch reapplied for combat duty. This time they accepted him. He shipped out to the Pacific in early 1943. He was assigned to a P-38 squadron based in New Guinea. He was the oldest pilot in the unit by 7 years. No one expected much from him. The TOW briefing happens on a Tuesday morning in late June. The operations tent smells of canvas and mildew. 15 pilots sit on folding chairs, exhausted, staring at a map of the Bismarck Sea tacked to a plywood board. Captain Lowell Garrett stands at the front, pointing to reconnaissance photos of Japanese shipping lanes. He is explaining tomorrow's mission. Escort duty for a flight of B-25s. Expected enemy contact high. Fuel will be tight. Stay in formation. Do not chase. Standard doctrine. Then Burch raises his hand. Garrett stops mid-sentence. The room goes quiet. Burch stands. He is holding his notebook. He opens it to a page covered in diagrams. He says he has been thinking about the engagement problem. The Zeros will not commit unless they see weakness. What if we give them weakness? What if we fake engine damage to draw them into gun range? He explains the concept calmly, methodically. Rig the oil system to produce smoke on command. Trigger it when Zeros are near, but not committed. They see black smoke, assume catastrophic failure, move in for the kill. Then cut the smoke, restore full power, reverse the geometry. It exploits their aggression. It turns their advantage into a trap. The room erupts. Lieutenant Ellsworth Prentice laughs out loud. He says that is the dumbest thing he has ever heard. You want to pretend your engine is on fire? In combat? That is suicide with extra steps. Another pilot asks what happens if the smoke does not shut off. What if the engine actually fails? Burch says he has accounted for that. The system is fail-safe. It only releases oil into the exhaust manifold. No mechanical damage. Full power remains available. Another pilot shakes his head. He says the Zeros are not stupid. They will see through it. Burch says maybe, but their doctrine is based on pattern recognition. They are trained to exploit damaged aircraft. If the smoke looks real, they will react instinctively. Captain Garrett cuts in. He says the idea is rejected. It violates every principle of sound tactics. Playing dead in a dogfight is not strategy, it is desperation, and desperation gets people killed. He tells Burch to focus on following orders, not reinventing doctrine. Burch nods. He closes his notebook. He sits down. The briefing continues, but he does not stop thinking. After the briefing, Burch walks to the maintenance area. Sergeant Delbert Hutchins is there, elbow deep in an engine nacelle, replacing a faulty fuel pump. Hutchins is 52 years old, a career mechanic who has forgotten more about radial engines than most engineers ever learn. Burch asks him a hypothetical question. Is it possible to route engine oil into the exhaust manifold without causing permanent damage? Hutchins wipes his hands on a rag. He squints at Burch. He asks why anyone would want to do that. Burch says he is working on something. Hutchins does not ask for details. He thinks for a moment. He says yes, it is possible. You would need a secondary valve, pressure regulation, a way to cut it off instantly. Tricky, but doable. Burch thanks him. He walks back to his tent. He begins sketching. The modification takes 3 weeks to perfect. Burch works in secret, mostly at night, in a corner of the maintenance hangar where no one asks questions. Sergeant Hutchins helps because he is curious and because he respects pilots who understand machines. Corporal Roscoe Tang assists because Hutchins tells him to, and because Tang is good with fine metalwork. They start with the oil system. Every P-38 has dual engines, each with its own lubrication circuit. The oil flows from a reservoir through lines to the engine, then back through a cooler before recirculating. Burch's idea is to tap into the return line and divert a portion of the oil into the exhaust manifold. When oil hits the superheated metal, It vaporizes instantly, producing thick black smoke. The trick is controlling the flow. Too little oil and the smoke is unconvincing. Too much, and you risk fouling the exhaust system or causing a real fire. They fabricate a manual valve using parts from a damaged hydraulic system. The valve mounts inside the cockpit, accessible to the pilot. A simple lever. Push forward to open, pull back to close. The oil line runs along the inside of the nacelle, hidden from external inspection. It connects to a brass fitting welded into the exhaust stack just aft of the turbo supercharger. The fitting is small, no larger than a cigarette. The oil drips onto the hottest part of the exhaust. Instant vaporization. Testing begins at dawn when the flight line is empty. Burch taxis to the end of the runway and runs the engines to full power. Hutchins stands 50 yards away, watching. Burch pushes the valve lever forward. Black smoke pours from the left engine nacelle. It billows and roils, thick and ugly. It looks catastrophic. Hutchins signals thumbs up. Burch pulls the lever back. The smoke cuts off immediately. The engine runs smooth. No temperature spike, no pressure drop, no damage. They test it again. Same result. Then they test the right engine. Same result. Then both engines simultaneously. The P-38 disappears in a cloud of black smoke. From a distance, it looks like a death spiral. Up close, it is theater. Burch climbs out of the cockpit. He is sweating. Hutchins asks if he is really going to use this in combat. Burch says yes. Hutchins shakes his head. He says it is the craziest thing he has seen in 30 years of aviation. But he also says it might work. Tang asks what they should call it. Burch thinks for a moment. He says, call it the bait. They install the system on Burch's aircraft and make it look like standard maintenance. No paperwork, no official record. Captain Garrett never asks what Burch is doing in the hangar at night. Plausible deniability. If it works, he will take credit. If it fails, he will deny knowledge. Burch understands the game. He does not care about recognition. He cares about survival, his own and his squadron mates. The next step is testing it in combat. That requires waiting for the right opportunity. A solo patrol, no wingman to endanger, no witnesses to contradict the official story. Burch volunteers for every lone reconnaissance mission that comes available. He flies them without complaint, scanning the skies, waiting for zeros. The opportunity comes on July 15th. Burch is assigned a solo reconnaissance flight over Hoan Gulf. His mission is to photograph Japanese shipping activity near Leh. No escort, no backup. 4 hours over enemy territory. Weather is clear. Visibility unlimited. Perfect conditions for an ambush. Burch takes off at 0600 hours. He climbs to 15,000 feet and sets course northwest. The cockpit smells of oil and hot metal. The engines drone in steady rhythm. He scans the sky constantly. Neck craning, eyes watering from strain and altitude. The ocean below is flat and blue, empty. He reaches the target area at 0730. He begins his photo run. The camera mounted in the nose cone clicks at intervals. Below, Japanese transports sit at anchor. He counts 6 ships. He notes their positions. Then he sees them. 3 Zeros climbing out of the haze to the east. They are 2 miles out and closing. Burch's heart rate spikes. His mouth goes dry. This is the moment. He could run. The P-38 is faster in level flight. He could dive away and escape. Or he can test the bait. He reaches for the valve lever. His hand shakes. He hesitates. Every instinct screams to firewall the throttles and run. But he has been planning this for months. He pushes the lever forward. Black smoke erupts from both engines. The aircraft shudders. Burch throttles back slightly to sell the deception. He lets the nose drop. He begins a slow descending turn as if struggling to maintain control. The Zeros see it immediately. They bank toward him. Their formation tightens. They are moving with purpose now, confidence. They have seen this before. A crippled American trying to limp home. Easy prey. Burch watches them close. He counts the distance. 1 mile, half a mile, quarter mile. They are committed now. Full speed, guns charging. He can see the lid pilot's canopy glinting in the sun. 300 yards, 250. Burch's vision tunnels. His breathing is shallow. Blood pounds in his ears. He counts to 10. Then he pulls the valve lever back. The smoke cuts off instantly. He firewalls both throttles. The Allison engines scream. The P-38 leaps forward. He rolls inverted and pulls hard. The G-forces slam him into his seat. His vision grays. The world spins. He comes out of the roll with the lead Zero directly in his gun sight. He fires. The 50 caliber machine guns hammer. Tracers walk across the Zero's fuselage. Pieces fly off. The canopy shatters. The Zero rolls left, trailing smoke and fire. It enters a flat spin. Gone. The second Zero breaks right. Burch pulls lead and fires. Again. He misses. The Zero is diving now. Burch follows. The airspeed climbs. 400 miles per hour. 450. The Zero pulls out at wave level. Burch stays with him. He fires again. Hits. The Zero's engine explodes. It cartwheels into the ocean. A brief splash. Nothing more. The third Zero is gone. Fled. Burch climbs back to altitude. His hands are trembling. His flight suit is soaked with sweat. He has just done something that should have killed him, and it worked. Burch lands at 0915. The ground crew inspects his aircraft. No damage, no hits. Sergeant Hutchins walks up as Burch climbs out of the cockpit. He does not ask questions, he just nods. Burch nods back. They understand each other. Burch files a standard combat report. 2 confirmed kills. Engaged 3 Zeros at 15,000 feet over Huon Gulf. Used altitude and speed advantage to reverse the attack. No mention of smoke. No mention of the bait system. Captain Garrett reads the report and signs it without comment. 2 kills is a good day. That is all that matters. But word spreads anyway. Lieutenant Von Merrick was flying a patrol 20 miles south. He saw the smoke from a distance. He saw the Zeros converge. He saw the fight. He lands 30 minutes after Burch. He walks directly to Burch's tent. He asks what happened. Burch tells him. Merrick listens without interrupting. When Burch finishes, Merrick says he wants the system installed on his plane. Burch says it is not approved. Merrick says he does not care. He has flown 60 missions. He has watched friends die because Zeros will not commit until it is too late to defend. If there is a way to make them commit early, he wants it. Burch talks to Hutchins. Hutchins talks to Tang. They install the system on Merrick's P-38 over 2 nights. Same configuration, same valve placement. They test it at dawn. It works. Merrick flies a mission 3 days later. He encounters a pair of Zeros escorting a reconnaissance plane. He triggers the smoke. The Zeros take the bait. Merrick drops one. The other flees. He returns to base and says nothing officially, but he tells another pilot. Then that pilot asks for the system. Then another. Within 2 weeks, 6 aircraft in the squadron have the modification. The pilots call it Burch's trick. Some call it the smoke bait. A few call it insurance. No one writes it down. No one briefs it officially. It exists in the gap between doctrine and necessity. Captain Garrett hears rumors. He sees Hutchins and Tang working late on multiple aircraft. He knows something is happening, but he does not ask. If the system fails and gets someone killed, he can claim ignorance. If it works and saves lives, he can claim quiet approval. It is a gamble he is willing to take. Lieutenant Orville Strand hears about it from his bombardier. Strand flies B-24s. He has been shot at by Zeros on 11 missions. He has lost 2 engines to fighter attacks. He asks Burch if the trick could help bombers under pursuit. Burch says, maybe. If a damaged bomber triggers the smoke, it might convince pursuing Zeros that the kill is guaranteed. They might get sloppy, close too fast. Strand says his crew would try anything at this point. Survival rates for bombers in the South Pacific are worse than fighters. Burch says he will talk to Hutchins. A week later, a B-24 receives the modification. Strand tested on a flight back from Rabaul. Zeros pursue. He triggers the smoke. They close aggressively. His waist gunners are waiting. 3 Zeros damaged. None press the attack. The bomber makes it home. August 12th. Burch and Merrick are assigned escort duty for a damaged B-24 returning from a strike on Wewak. The bomber took flak over the target. One engine is dead. Another is running rough. The crew is trying to make it back to Port Moresby before the aircraft falls apart. Burch and Merrick form up on the bomber's wings at 10,000 feet. The bomber pilot is Lieutenant Strand. He acknowledges them over the radio. His voice is calm but tight. He says they have maybe 40 minutes of flight time left before the second damaged engine quits. The math is brutal. They are 80 miles from base. At current speed, they will not make it. Burch tells him to hold course. They will get him home. Strand does not argue. He knows the odds. Then the call comes from Merrick. Bandits high. 11 o'clock. Multiple contacts. Burch looks up. 7 Zeros in a loose formation. 15,000 feet. Climbing. They have seen the bomber. They are positioning for an attack. Burch's hands tighten on the controls. 7 against 2. The bomber cannot maneuver. It cannot defend itself effectively. If the Zeros press a coordinated attack, the B-24 will not survive. Doctrine says to engage and try to scatter them. Buy time. Hope they break off. But Burch knows better. These are not novice pilots. They will not scatter easily. They will rotate attacks. 1 or 2 will engage the escorts while the others go after the bomber. It is textbook tactics, and it is unbeatable with 2 fighters, unless the Zeros make a mistake, unless they commit too early, unless they see an opportunity too good to pass up. Burch keys his radio. He tells Merrick to stay with the bomber. Stay close. When the Zeros come, do not chase. Just keep them off Strand. Merrick acknowledges. He does not ask what Burch is planning. He has seen the smoke trick work. He trusts it. Burch breaks formation. He climbs toward the Zeros. They see him immediately. They adjust. 3 Zeros peel off to engage him. The other 4 continue toward the bomber. Burch pulls into a climbing turn. The Zeros follow. They are faster in the climb. They will overtake him in seconds. He waits. Altitude 12,000 feet. The Zeros are 500 yards back. Closing. Burch reaches for the valve lever. He shoves it forward. Black smoke pours from both engines. Thick. Rolling. Catastrophic. The 38 shudders. Burch lets the nose drop. He banks left as if losing control. The 3 Zeros see it. They tighten formation. They accelerate. Easy kill. Then the other 4 Zeros see it too. They break off their approach on the bomber. They turn toward Burch. All 7 are converging now. They smell blood. This is the opportunity. A crippled fighter and a helpless bomber. 2 kills for the price of 1. They commit fully. Burch counts. 7 Zeros. 400 yards, 300. He can see their markings. He can see the lead pilot gesturing to his wingman. They are coordinating the kill. 200 yards. Burch's heart hammers. His vision narrows. 150 yards. He pulls the valve lever back. The smoke vanishes. He firewalls the throttles. The engines roar. He rolls inverted and pulls. Hard. The G's crush him into his seat. His vision tunnels to gray. The nose comes around. 7 Zeros filling his windscreen. He fires. The sky erupts. Burch's guns hammer at point-blank range. Tracers converge on the lead Zero. It disintegrates. Pieces tumble past Burch's canopy. The second Zero pulls hard right. Too late. Burch's gunfire catches it in the wing root. The wing folds. The Zero tumbles. Gone. The remaining 5 scatter in confusion. They were expecting a kill. They got a trap. Merrick rolls in from above. He has been waiting. He fires on a Zero trying to climb away. Hits. Smoke trails from its engine. It dives toward the ocean, trailing fire. 4 Zeros remain. They regroup at 12,000 feet. They are cautious now, uncertain. The crippled American fighter is not crippled. It is a predator. They have been baited. Burch and Merrick position themselves between the Zeros and the bomber. They do not chase. They hold formation. The message is clear. You want the bomber? You go through us. The Zeros circle. They are calculating. 4 against 2. Still favorable odds. But the Americans are not acting like defenders. They are acting like hunters. The psychological advantage has shifted. 1-0 makes a slashing pass. Burch meets him head-on. Both fighters fire. Neither scores. The Zero breaks off. Another tries a beam attack on the bomber. Merrick intercepts, fires, misses. But the Zero breaks off anyway. The aggression is gone. They are probing now, testing, not committing. The bomber continues its slow limp toward Port Moresby. Strand's voice comes over the radio. The second damaged engine is failing. He has maybe 10 minutes. Burch acknowledges. He tells Merrick to stay tight. The Zeros try one more coordinated attack. 2 from above, 2 from the flanks. Burch triggers the smoke again, both engines billowing black. The Zeros hesitate. They have seen this before, 30 seconds ago. It was a trap then. Is it a trap now, or is the damage real this time? They cannot tell. The hesitation costs them momentum. Burch cuts the smoke, fires on the nearest Zero, misses, but the Zero breaks off. The attack collapses. The 4 remaining Zeros climb away. They orbit at a distance for 2 minutes. Then they turn east and disappear. They are done. The risk is too high. The reward too uncertain. Burch and Merrick escort the bomber the final 30 miles. Strand lands on one engine and fumes. The bomber rolls to a stop. Ground crews swarm it. The crew climbs out. They are shaking, bleeding, exhausted. Strand walks over to Burch. He does not say anything. He just shakes his hand. Burch nods. Merrick grins. He says that was the craziest thing he has ever seen. 7 zeros. Burch says it was math. Predators do not think. They react. You just have to make them react wrong. The after-action report lists 4 confirmed Zero kills, 2 credited to Burch, 1 to Merrick, 1 shared. Intelligence officers debrief Strand's crew. They describe the engagement, the smoke, the reversal, the Zeros fleeing. An analyst makes a note in a report. American fighters observed using deceptive smoke tactics to lure enemy into disadvantageous positions. Effectiveness high. Recommend further study. The report is filed. No follow-up occurs, but the story spreads. By September, 12 P-38s in the squadron have the smoke system installed. Pilots use it sparingly, only when outnumbered, only when no other option exists. It works 60% of the time. That is better than the alternative. Japanese intelligence begins receiving reports from returning pilots. Americans faking engine damage, playing dead, setting traps. The reports are inconsistent. Some pilots claim the smoke is real. Others insist it is deception. Confusion spreads through Zero squadrons. Attack doctrine becomes hesitant. Pilots second-guess opportunities. They hold back when they should press. The psychological edge shifts. American loss rates drop 11% over 4 months in the South Pacific Theater. Analysts attribute it to improved tactics and better training. No one mentions smoke. Major Harlan Kemp hears about the system in late October. He flies out to the squadron and asks to see it. Sergeant Hutchins shows him the valve, explains the oil routing, demonstrates the effect. Kemp watches in silence. He asks if it is officially documented. Hutchins says no. Kemp says it should be. He wants to include it in training manuals. Formalize the tactic. Burch tells him that will kill it. The moment it becomes doctrine, the Japanese will adapt. The trick only works because it is unexpected. The moment it is predictable, it is useless. Kemp thinks about this. He agrees. He does not file a report. The system remains ghost knowledge. Burch flies 73 more missions. He is credited with 9 confirmed kills by war's end. He survives without serious injury. In early 1945, he is rotated stateside. He receives no medals for the smoke system, no commendations, no recognition. He does not ask for any. He returns to Nebraska in August 1945. He buys back his old crop-dusting business. He rebuilds his Stearman. He flies low over wheat fields for 30 more years. He marries in 1947. He raises 2 daughters. He never talks about the war unless asked. Even then, his answers are brief. He dies in 1989 at the age of 77. His obituary mentions he served in the Pacific. It does not mention the smoke bait. Decades later, aviation historians researching Pacific fighter tactics find scattered references. A line in a pilot's diary, a mention in a maintenance log, a cryptic note in a Japanese intelligence summary about Americans using smoke deception. No technical documentation exists, no official training materials, no photographs of the system. The tactic vanished with the men who used it, but the lesson survived. Deception is a weapon. Predictability is a weakness. The best trap is the one your enemy builds in his own mind. Calvin Birch understood that. He did not invent courage. He invented bait. And for a few crucial months over the Coral Sea, it was enough.